guys. Welcome to the Talkin Kop. My name is Ashley. I'm here with my friends Kev and Chris, and we're here to talk a little bit about the Arsenal versus Liverpool game that's coming up tomorrow. So this is our preview show on YouTube. It's not necessarily the really exciting build up to a game we all normally know and love. It seems, Kev, that the mood music around Liverpool is a little bit pessimistic this time around. How are you feeling going into this match? Let's just start there and get it out of the way.
See, you lot are all shit in the bed. I'm kind of half looking forward to it because I think if you go in with the right mindset, look, you already have a point when the game starts, and there's nothing wrong with doing to Arsenal what side are doing to us on a constant. Not play five at the back. So you go in with a defensive mindset and say you're going to keep clean sheet first and foremost, and look to be strong defensively, kind of like what we were with Madrid. Don't get caught on in the mid block. You're either going to press high or you're going to drop deep. One or the other. You're not going to get caught with both. So it'll be interesting to see how we set up. I mean, we're really limited as to what we can do with the lineup. But again, that should galvanize them. Because there's nobody, they can't turn around on the bench and say, oh, someone's going to come on and bail me out. It's going to be a case of this is who we got. This is who we're going to have to do it with. And get on with it. Chris, what about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be fairly Liverpool at the moment, to be honest, Kev, to be as bang average as they are and then go get a result at Arsenal. We've seen that before with Liverpool plenty of times. I'm not that confident because A, we're not playing very well, but B, we're really, really slim on the ground. I'm just looking at the side going like, what side will Liverpool play? Ekitike probably won't feature. Rumours Chiesa hasn't been seen travelling with the squad. So then if that's the case, your only recognised attackers are Gakpo, who's only just back from injury and still looks miles off it, and Rio Ngamoa, who the manager just flat out refuses to use, except in real breakgrass situations. So it's not ideal. I mean, it may force manager's hand to play the formation we played against City last season, like a 4-2-4 with no strikers, which we haven't got any, so it might work. Listen, with City's result today, Arsenal will view this against us as a free hit, which can go one or two ways. They could come out all guns blazing and really try and put Liverpool to the sword to set a statement and make a 8-point gap, it would be. Or they're a bit more lackadaisical because they're like, it's kind of a free hit and Liverpool might catch them cold. This is the one time where I'm all right if Liverpool go a little bit more pragmatic, like we did at home to Sunderland, and you kind of go in, just soak it up and look for a counter. But I don't think we have enough pace for a counter, which is the concern at the moment.
I don't know. I mean, look. Apparently, my sound isn't too good, so hopefully it's
all right. It's all right now. It's stopped echoing now.
Yeah, is it? Okay, that's good. Look, I don't see this as I think Arsenal under pressure tomorrow, purely and simply because they'll want to open this gap. They're not going to get too many weeks in the Premier League season where City and Villa, both sides chasing and both drop points. This is a massive opportunity for them to open the gap because we know they don't have a history of getting over the line. Let's be honest about it. Arteta's been there 6 years. In 6 years, he's failed to finish the job. So, someone put in the comments, like Megan put in the comments, love Dom's comments today regarding the game. I did too.
I can't believe him. I thought it was ridiculous when he was asked, to be honest.
Yeah, but it was a leading question asked by a journalist. We're going to get the full interview tomorrow night before the game. We're going to get the full interview tomorrow night before the game. So we'll see what the context is around the question.
But it's a very defiant answer, which is kind of what you want a Liverpool player to say. It was defiance, accepting where we are, but also a bit defiant and a little bit. Don't forget about us a little bit, And do you know what? That might show it's hurting a few players, which is a good thing because it should be.
Yeah.
Not having the season they'd have hoped for.
Yeah. Can you guys all hear me now? Okay. I don't know what's going on there where for some reason I wasn't showing up on YouTube. So there's an ice storm over here. So there might be some issues going on. But I don't mind that. What?
You looking forward to tomorrow night?
I feel like it's kind of a free hit for both teams at this point. I don't have any kind of huge expectations from us, but I'm a little bit of the mindset that I'd rather have a game like this where the players can actually get up for it, because I feel like our performances tend to be better against these bigger sides than a team down at the bottom of the table. Like I feel like I'd be more worried playing like a Sunderland tomorrow. And I don't really know why that is with our team. I know that Slot was asked that in the press conference today. He acknowledged that it was a fact as well. But it's one of those games that a point away at the Emirates is never a bad point. Like, I would be fine in any season, really, unless we were completely dominant, kind of going to the Emirates and getting a point. And I feel like that if we set out to be solid, which we have that's been the goal recently from Slot. Like, if we can do that against Arsenal, maybe we can look at it in a different lens and maybe say, like, okay, that's a little bit of progress. I don't know. I'm probably clutching at straws, to be honest, but I feel like I would be okay with just a defensive performance tomorrow. Sort of like a PSG away or like Inter. I think we're going to have to absorb a lot of pressure tomorrow. But if we can do that, I don't know. Maybe all hope is not lost. I feel like
see why we shouldn't be able to.
Exactly. I don't know. I feel like everything has felt very doom and gloom recently, and I'm trying really hard to kind of pull myself out of that. Whether it's with transfers, whether it's with the general kind of like vibe around the club, I feel like we're all kind of circling around the same drain here with the same kind of negative attitude. And I don't necessarily know if I want to live in that right now.
But is a lot of that down to the fact that, look, every game that we've played so far in this run, we've been expected to make the game. We've been expected to be the dominant side and to put these sides to the sword. This is the first time we're coming up against a side who are better than us on form, who are at home, and who are expected to turn us over. And the last time that happened to us was probably the last time we had that, you'd argue, was Inter and Real Madrid. And we turned up with the right mindset for both of those games. And I'd strongly argue, I'm looking at Brighton's results now. 3-2 against Bournemouth. 4-1 against Villa was a really good win, really dominant win. 2-1 Brighton, 1-1 Palace, 1-0 Everton. They're getting the job done, but they haven't been ripping anyone apart. I think Villa's mistake was trying to come out and play them. And that's because Unai Emery is very inflexible in the way he plays. But I think if you play Arsenal and you make them make the game and you look for the counters against them, I mean, you look at the first game at Anfield, it was tight in possession, it was tight in chances, it was nip and tuck for both sides all the way through. No side really dominated the other, and it took a moment of genius.
And it's one of the few games we were really good at set pieces defensively.
Yeah, but that's how it should be against good sides. Against two good sides, top four in the league, it should be tight and close and nip and tuck. And I don't see why going to the Emirates tomorrow night is filling everyone with such a dread. I don't get the logic.
I think one that would, to play devil's advocate, and I know what you say about going against a side, like we did against Madrid and all that, and I get that. There's also the fear that there could be a performance like there was at City, where Liverpool were just completely outplayed, passive, gifted goals, and we have seen that quite a lot this year, which you can do, which you could see them doing to Arsenal, which I think then you could see them getting embarrassed a little bit, like we did at City. So I think that's the fear at the moment, is you're kind of not sure which Liverpool side's going to turn up in this sort of a big game. Is it going to be the one that did the Inter job, that did the Real Madrid job, or is it the one that's going to do the City job?
Yeah.
Or not job, if you know what I mean. That's the problem. The performances are very chalk and cheese, and there's not really that consistent, which has been Liverpool's problem all season, to be fair. A lack of consistency.
Well, you just makes the point. Yeah. Do you want to read that?
I mean, I'm not speaking about this from personal experience, but Yus is saying that he's looking forward to this game as much as his first exploratory colonoscopy, which I'm imagining is not that great. It's a very colorful visual there, Yus. Thank you for that. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's just some interesting vibes floating around here. You
I
guys,
mean,
you guys
speaking of
mentioned some of the score lines that were going around today, and I feel like before we get into this game, I feel like it's probably important to touch on some of the score lines that happened tonight, because it has some bearing kind of on how both of these teams can approach what's going to happen tomorrow. So I'm just going to run through them. We had Everton Wolves 1-1 full time. We had Bournemouth winning over Spurs 3-2. We had Brentford absolutely steamrolling Sunderland 3-0. Palace and Aston Villa drew 0-0. Fulham beat Chelsea 2-1. And then you had Manchester City draw against Brighton and Hove Albion 1-1. Burnley and United have drawn. That's full time now. That was 2-2. And you're in kind of the extra time at Newcastle and Leeds. They are currently drawing 3-3. So I think the poignant results really would be Villa and City both drawing. And then you have Chelsea dropping points and United dropping points. So the teams around us and the teams around Arsenal all kind of dropping points. Kev, does this make you feel like, Arsenal can go into this with basically an incredible amount of leeway? And does this make you feel like we can go into this with the mindset of, maybe there's a gap that we can create, like in the odd event that maybe we actually get something positive out of this? Like there's a little bit of daylight that we could be creating here.
Yeah, look, if I'm Arsenal tomorrow night, I'm hunting for 3 points, and I don't care if we lose. I'd rather risk losing tomorrow night if I'm Arsenal to try to win it than come away with a point and thinking, yeah, it's Liverpool, you're playing the champions, it's a point, you take it and you move on. I'd be really gutted if I was an Arsenal fan if that happened tomorrow night, because if it was roles reversed, I'd be desperate to open that gap, to try to get it to a stage where, hang on, so let me just have a look and see what the actual points gap is at the minute.
It's 5 points right now. And they have a game in hand, so it could be 8 points at the end of the day tomorrow.
If they can get that to 8 points, then, yeah, they've got to play them again. So at best, that brings it down to 5, and Arsenal would still have to drop probably 2 losses on top of losing to City again. So, yeah, I think if Man City will be looking on tomorrow praying for a Liverpool win, because a 5-point gap is very gettable. It's nothing, because they still got to play each other. Now, Arsenal will look at that and say, yeah, okay, we got to play them again, and if we beat them, it's 8 points, and that's the job done. Game over. But if they play them again and lose, it's down to 2 points, they'll shit the bed, because that's just in their DNA. They always trip out. They always find a way to trip on their way over the line. Whether it's early in the run-in or late in the run-in, Arsenal find a way to blow it. It's just the way that Arteta has been in his tenure at the club. And Guardiola has a calming influence when it comes to the last probably third of the season, that he's got a know-how and an experience, and he uses that in the media to his advantage to unsettle opposing players and opposing managers. And Ferguson used to do it a lot. Pep Guardiola is very good at doing it. So Arsenal have to look at this tomorrow night as a huge opportunity to open that gap out to 8 points and look to really pile the pressure onto Man City, saying you've got no more slip-ups left. You have to win every game between now and the end of the season, because that gap is only going to get bigger if you don't. That has to be Arsenal's mindset going into it. On the flip side, for us, if we can get a win tomorrow night, puts us on 37 points. That's a 4-point gap to Brentford, and a 5-point gap to Manchester United. And I watched United tonight, and they're lucky that it was only Burnley they were playing, because for the first time in a year, first time in ages, that they lined up in the back four, and they haven't a clue how to play it. They haven't a clue how to play with the players that are on the pitch in that system, and it's going to take a while for whoever comes in to bed a new system into that squad. Amorim has them drilled within an inch of their life into what he was doing. You got to coach that out of them. Then you look at Chelsea, basket case of a club, no discipline in their playing squad whatsoever. So if we can open a gap to them at all, that'll be a big sigh of relief for Arne Slot and the club, because it might make them refocus their decisions between now and the end of the season onto the end of the season, which a lot of people won't like. But it should put us in a position where we can start looking up at Aston Villa rather than looking down at the clubs behind us.
Yeah, I mean, if you get a win, the gap
Yeah.
Villa is 6 points, which then is 2.
And we got to play them again.
Yeah. So again, you put it back in your hands. I think if it gets beyond, I think always when it gets beyond 6 points, that's quite a hard gap to pull off. I mean, if we want to put your positive head on, since that debacle at Forest, which fuck me, that was the worst watch along us three ever did. Worst gig to do a watch along. Yeah. The gap was pretty big then, just to get in top 4, and we've managed to. I think we were like 12th, something like that, and we've got ourselves back up to 4th with it. I think was it Josh Williams said the most uninspiring undefeated run ever, miserable undefeated run ever. But it is what it is. You know, I would just like Liverpool. Even Liverpool went away with a draw. I'm happy that just although the performance on there, keep the unbeaten run going, just because it keeps that. It's ticking points off. It's one less game to worry about, you know, and sort of go from there. Thor wants to know, are you okay, Ashley? Apparently, you don't look very happy.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine, Thor. Yeah, I'm just listening. I'm trying to kind of find the positive. Like I was saying, it was interesting actually hearing. Slot actually got asked a pretty blunt question today, which I thought was interesting. And it was basically, you know, fans kind of think that you're playing kind of turgid, boring football. What do you think about that? And, Slot was like, I understand. Wow. What are you wowing about, Chris?
Newcastle scored 2 goals in injury time to go 4-3 up against Leeds.
Oh,
Jesus.
well.
It's about time they ended up on the right side of a classic.
Yeah.
Well,
Davey will be happy there.
Davey will be on in a bit to tell us all about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but going back to my point, he was asked, what's his opinion on, the style of football that Liverpool are playing, and it was interesting to hear him talk. It very much echoed what Virgil van Dijk said a couple of days ago, where he was basically saying we're not setting out to play boring, turgid football. We are setting out to be adventurous and front-footed. Kev, I had a kind of hard time coming to terms with that answer. He said that he understood why it would be viewed as such, but he said that, they were setting out with the idea of being front-footed, about being attacking and creative. It seems like there's a really big disconnect between what's being said and what we're seeing on the pitch.
A disconnect between fact and reality, or between fantasy and reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, he's setting us up at the minute not to lose. And win if you can. Do what you can to win a game. Don't lose it. That's what he's setting us up to do, because I think they've realized after the PSV game, this can't continue. This has to stop. This rot of trying to score as many as you can has to come to an end. We have to be pragmatic. You have to look at the squad and what's available to him. And I don't care who the manager of the club is. You could bring back any manager from bygone days. Look at what's on the pitch and look at what you've got to affect change. And look how much mileage is on the legs this season already. It's you're limited by your tools, by what they can do on the pitch. And myself and Gav did the post match extra reaction, and it was 2 individual errors that cost us against Fulham. And individual errors are why goals are scored. It's why it's just the way it is. You can find fault with every goal that's scored. I don't buy into this narrative that we're trying to play open, attacking, adventurous football. We're just fucking not. And you can tell that by the amount of chances that we have in a game and how much we're actually working opposition keepers. I don't care if you look at our results and you're getting 8, 10, 12, 15 shots on target and you're coming away with 2 or 3 goals or 1 or 2 goals and their keeper has blinders. That can happen. But you can't come out and try to spoof a fan base by saying the sky is red and black is white and upside down is right way up. It doesn't work, and it never has worked. But I think from what snippets I've seen at the press conferences, the first press conference I haven't watched, I read it. I don't know what people were expecting him to say. He's not going to throw the players he has under the bus because he doesn't have any other options. Not really. And he's not going to throw his bosses under the bus because look at what happened 50 miles down the road. The second the manager decides to get uppity or head coach decides to get uppity, yeah, collect your P45, you're gone. And he knows it. He's not a manager, he's a head coach. Ruben Amorim was, as much as he liked to call himself a manager, he was a head coach. And the way the football is going, the head coach is interchangeable. The squad and the director of football has insulated themselves in this position now. And because he doesn't have to sit in front of a camera, Arne Slot is very limited in what he can say. And managers, coaches lie a lot. And you just got to almost bite your tongue with it because what else could he say? Could he turn around and say, yeah, we know we're short in this position because this guy's not playing well. This guy's form is gone. This guy's legs are gone. You know, even if he intimated at it, you're giving the players an excuse. Last thing you want to do is give struggling footballers an excuse because they'll run with it. So he did what he could do. He answers questions probably as well as he can without shooting himself in the foot. But everyone knows he's spoofing with that. You have to.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the questions. The other question, there was actually quite a lot of questions that got asked today, but it felt a little bit like a PR exercise to me, Chris. You know, he was asked pretty clearly whether he sees sufficient depth and talent in the squad or if reinforcements are needed in January. I think all of us can tell you with a pretty straight face that there's not a Liverpool fan out there that doesn't feel like reinforcements are necessary in at least one part of the field or another. But, you know, having seen Manchester United part ways with their manager, having seen Chelsea part ways with their manager, both for, I would say, rather similar outbursts where they're asking for more power. It was actually quite interesting for me to see Slot kind of go in the complete polar opposite direction and double down almost in his role as a head coach and in his sort of, I'll say joined up thinking, I guess, for lack of a better term, with Hughes and Edwards and all of the people. He said, and I quote, "First of all, I'm very happy with the squad that we are having. All of the decisions that are made last summer and the summer before, all of these things are completely aligned with me, Richard Hughes, and the ownership. So I think that it has shown this season how talented this group is. And if everyone is available, how good of a team this can be. There's nothing positive from players being injured out. But maybe if I could think about it, not that it's a positive, but that the narrative that has always been there, that we've spent so much money in the summer, and every time when I try to say, no, we replaced and spent a little bit more than came in, no one wanted to hear about it. But maybe now for the first time since we've only had 2 or 3 injuries, people do now see that we only replaced very good players. So even last game and the games before, I could impact the game off the bench." He talks about Jeremy Frimpong coming in, and then he talks about how in this club, they're in a very good place when everyone is available. They're getting stronger and stronger, and that the club is in a good place for the short future, but also for the mid and long-term future. So just really doubling down on this idea that, you know, he's in line with what's going on ahead of him, as opposed to what you've seen elsewhere in the league, where you basically are having managers kind of trying to puff out their chest and make a stance, maybe to get more players in January. How did you feel about his press conference as a whole, Chris? Because we haven't heard about it. And how do you feel about this kind of idea of, you know, I'm a happy camper over here from Slot?
Truthfully, like the performances on the pitch, dull and pointless. That's what I thought of his press conference. I'm kind of, I've heard a few other podcasts and people talk about this. It'll never happen, but this is what I think should happen: is if Liverpool are going to go down this European route, which is you have a structure of a sporting director, head of football, who does the vision of the club and is involved in the transfers and the overall big vision of the club, and the head coach coaches what they've got. Then, like Germany, Richard Hughes, get your arse sat next to Slot. You answer the questions on transfers. You answer the questions on policy, because that's your job. That's what you do. Because ultimately, whatever Slot says, he's either going to be seen as a yes man, or he's putting his own job under threat. So, asking about, are you happy with transfers? Are you happy with what things? Part of me goes, who cares if he's happy with transfers and half transfers? Ultimately, he has an input, but it's not his remit. He could just say, I'd like this, I think we need that. But the club could turn around and say, well, our vision is we're going to go for this. So we think these players will go. We think this is within the club to bring up youth. And then these are the first teams we'll look to bring in. That's the plan. Can you make that work? Do you think that'll work? And then go from there. So I know why the press have to ask him questions about transfers, but it's pointless asking him. In terms of Maresca and Amarin, I feel their outbursts were strategic exit strategies, which was, I don't know, I think there's more going on behind the scenes there. Amarin wanted to leave after about 3 weeks, where he offered his resignation. That pretty much says all you need to know. And Maresca, if you believe rumours, in things that are hinted by some of the press, it sounds like he was sort of being told he wanted to win now. And they were like, no, you've got to play the youth so we can flip them, make money. We're going to go young and keep doing it that way, slightly different model. And it's almost like both managers forgot that's what they'd signed up to and I got fed up with it. And I felt both their sackings were, after their outburst, kind of just felt like, it's kind of mic drop, sack me now. And I think they both got their wish. I think Slot, to be honest, knows he's under high pressure and probably has seen this week and gone, I'll just play straight bat, keep my head down, and try and save my job. And if I do, great. If I don't, why rock the boat? But
well, yeah. I'll tell you now, Richard Hughes sitting in a press conference will turn around and say, we don't talk about other clubs' players. If an opportunity comes up in the market, we'll look at it. We're monitoring situations as they develop.
But you can ask.
I know I'm just going to get my coffee now because that's the stock answers you're going to get because he's.
It is, but I think the pressure. I think
you know what I mean.
But I think that do you know what? Make him squirm. Say to him.
Oh, 100%.
Say to him. Are you happy with the summer? Do you think you should have? Why was the Guehi deal so late? Oh, we don't talk about deals. Well, you do because you released it in the press, so we know you talk about it. You just don't want to talk about it now. So you say to him, "Are you happy with the? Did you bring in every player that you wanted? Yes. Or you don't have to say which ones are not. Do you think you left the squad in a good enough position? Is there anything you'd have liked? Is there anything that surprised you with what you brought in? He gives stock bullshit answers.
Yeah.
But watch him squirm. And that I generally think the way people answer or the body language for the answer tells you a whole lot of are things going the way they want or is because Rich Hughes could be sat there going, whether he says he's happy with it, his body language could tell you, I think I got something wrong. I'm not going to admit it, but you could tell and you go, okay, kind of thing. Because at the moment, it's just open for bullshit. And so, the whole Civil War nonsense that's on social media at the moment, which is probably something blown up.
So I've heard a lot of people come out talking about wanting Hughes in this situation to come out and face the music. Just playing devil's advocate here for a second. Do we want our director of football to have that big of a personality? Do we want them to be taking the limelight away from what's going on? Or would we... Part of me thinks that I would rather have sort of someone that's in the background that is sort of a silent force, where I feel like we have situations where it's like I don't want a situation where we have, granted it's an owner, but like a Todd Bowley that's taking headlines, that's dictating the direction of the club and things like that. I would rather have... part of me wants to know what Hughes would say, but like Kev's saying, I feel like you just get stock answers. I feel like they're very smart, and part of me feels like, do your talking with the action of whether it's signing players or not signing players, any of those things. I think that actions speak louder than words a lot of times here, and part of me feels like you just be opening yourself up for another layer of criticism.
Oh, what they could do is which I think Hughes and Edwards are quite happy to do. They like to be quite chatty, and they have certain media people they like to talk to. We know who they are when they want to get their point across. And plenty of other people in similar jobs in Germany, they have a particular reporter.
But that's based on the German ownership model and the fact that they have to come out and speak that way. It's not, that's very different over there.
Yeah, it is. But you can take a leaf out of their book. At the end of the transfer window, for example, do a one-page puff piece. Sit down with, this is what happened. This is the vision. This is what we're looking to do. And then it can be absolutely bollocks. Put your name to it.
Guys,
go ahead, Kev.
They own a TV station. They can sit down when the window closes with LSC TV.
Yeah.
And literally, here's the questions you're going to ask me. And here's the answers I'm going to give you. But that's all you're going to get. And as much as we want answers, we're not going to get them. And
they're also not. That's not their responsibility. Like, as much as I want it, like as much as transparency would be great as a fan, a director of football doesn't need to do that in this country. They're not going to do that.
Everyone knows what we need. So you're not advertising that, oh my God, Liverpool need a winger, a striker, a 6, and a centre-back. Over the next 2 windows, that's what we're going to be looking for. Everyone knows this. It's not going to hurt anybody by coming out and saying that we're looking at several positions to improve the squad over the next 12 to 18 months. That's not rocket science. And we know that this is what's going to happen. It's just hearing that from the horse's mouth. But at the same time, if they turned around, if Arne Slot turned around and said, yeah, we're looking at 2 or 3 key positions in this window, suddenly you're adding 5 million to the asking price of every player that we even go to ask for put a bid in for. Because we've highlighted the need in public. And as soon as you highlight the need in public, the pressure mounts on them from the fan base to deliver results. Now, it's a kick in the teeth that Anton Semenyo is going to have his medical when we knew what the buyout clause was. But if it's a straight choice, and neutral head on now, if it's a straight choice between Liverpool and Liverpool and Man City for a player, and a player turns around and says, yeah, I want to go to Man City, it's totally understandable. Totally understandable, because they're serial winners, they're serial Premier League winners, they're competing every single year, and they're competing in the latter stages of Europe every single year.
Plus, so are we, though.
We're not.
Well, we are.
No, we've won 2.
In the last, I would say the last 5 to 6 years.
I'll tell you now.
We're competing in the latter stages.
I know, but I'll tell you why we're not. Because Slot and Klopp won 1, Slot won 1. Slot, you can see, it's...
I know, but you're talking about us like we're some sort of minnow. We're not. Like, I understand the choice between... I understand why a player would choose City. Yeah. I understand
Guardiola is a hell of a pull. They've stopped contract negotiations with Arne Slot. That's not a good look to attract a player that you want to have at the club for the next few years. The other side of it is we don't know where this club is going to land. How long is it going to take for this rebuild to happen?
But I can make the same. I get it. Look, I get that we're not at our top level right now. I'm not arguing that we are. I'm not saying that we're competing for honors this year. But that being said, I can make the same argument for City, saying you've got 115 charges hanging over your head. You have Pep. You have no idea if Pep's going to be here next year. We have no clue. I
think Semenyo chose City, truthfully, because I think he's looking going, there's a chance this season I can win now because they're in better form than Liverpool.
He's 26 years old.
And I think that's why he's picked Liverpool. I think if roles reversed, I think if Liverpool was second and City were 4th, I think he'd have picked Liverpool. Because he'd go,
that's his prerogative.
There might be more of a chance. Because he's probably thinking, well, I don't know who Liverpool are going to... Say Slot was going to leave next season, regardless, even when we have a good season. He goes, well, I don't know what Liverpool are going to be like next year, and I don't know what City are going to be like next year, because I don't know what City post-Pep looks like. I mean, that's as much as City have all the money, with, part of charge for 1 second, that's an iconic, big manager. That's arguably their greatest manager leaving. That's like Ferguson leaving United. That's like Klopp leaving Liverpool.
Yeah.
You don't quite know how quickly City will react. City will always be in and around top
Exactly.
four. The squad and the money's too big for them not
this
to
is
be.
what I mean.
But will they win?
Ultimately, I don't even think it was a choice of either or, though. I think it was a choice of City or no one at this point in time, because we stepped away from the table a long time ago. So we're creating this fake narrative that we were there and
but it's not
were
just
there, and he chose
it's not just
between
him.
the two.
It's not just him, because there's every chance they'll go for Mark Guehi before the
And if they do, it will be because they pump a shitload of money into an offer for Palace. Not because I don't think that's because we're being chosen or they're being chosen. It's because they have this thing, as Avo says, this thing called money that they can place on the table.
Oh, so do we.
And I mean, we do and we don't.
We do.
We
100% do.
Not to the same degree that City
Yes, we do. Oh, we do. We
don't have the same level of financial freedom as City.
We absolutely have more headroom than Man City.
Not at this point in time.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. We had 140 million more than we could have spent last summer. That we never did. Plus, you factor in the Guehi money that we never spent as well. So,
the Guehi money that we never spent was the Harvey Elliott money that we never earned.
That we're never going to get. So, no matter what happens, Elliott will be sold in the summer to someone. It won't be for as much, but he will be sold. What I mean is, money can't. My biggest fear is Man City get Mark Guehi for a fee that we really should be able to go and match.
Look, if the fee is 20 or 30 million pounds, then this conversation changes tone completely. Mm-hmm. But I mean, according to Glasner today, he said, to his fans, and Chris, you said this to me, that, the Palace fans should feel pretty confident that Mark Guehi's going to stay. He thinks that his owner is putting such a hefty price tag on Guehi's head that it would take something stupid to pry him away. So if that's $50 million or pounds or whatever for a player that's 6 months out of his contract, I don't want us to be throwing money around like that. I don't think I could legitimately justify it, because ultimately, whether you like it or not, he is a rotational player right now. You would think that maybe he would get Konate out of his spot, but you're not talking about a guaranteed starter, and you're not going to pay 50 million. No, they're not going to pay. I doubt they'd pay 30, to be honest.
I see. I saw the Glasner thing in a slightly different way, which is Glasner is also leaving in 6 months and saying, "Oh, Palace don't need to worry because our owner will get a big fee. I think he'll be here." That's basically going, "Here's a hot potato. Thanks very much, Steve Parish. See if you want to sell him for less than 35 million now, because I've basically dropped that grenade on you." So if he does get sold for less than 35, which I think he might, Palace fans straight away look at Steve Parish and have a right pop at him, going, "Oh man, I said you sell for a big fee. You've sold him for less than what we were going to get for him." That's what I think it is. My personal thing is, if say he goes to City for 20, 25 million with only 6 months to go, part of me goes for Liverpool. I get your philosophy, which is generally we don't pay fees for people who got less than 6 months and go that. There's a part of me that goes, guess what? Sometimes you've got to swallow your pride and be a little bit adaptable. You're literally going into the season. We've got the next 6 months of the season. We've got 2 fit senior centre backs. You don't count. Well, the only's out for the season. You don't count Joe Gomez as a centre back option because, quite frankly, he's on the bench now.
Well, Slot does.
He says
he was asked about this in the press conference. He was asked specifically, "Are you okay with two fit senior center backs?" And he said, "No one is okay with 2 fit senior center backs. We have Gomez, but." He said, and he specifically talked about this being an issue that we faced before, and how we're going to face the issue the exact same way that we are going to face the issue back when it was Klopp. That you whatever hand you're dealt. Unfortunately, it's very much the FSG way. They'll spend the money, but then it's sort of like, injuries, whatever. Like, you're going to have to push through. They're not going to deviate from their plan.
I think the one thing you can say over the recent years of FSG is we're almost always going into a season one short somewhere, and I don't think that's changed. We've always come out of every window saying we should have done X.
We went out of this one too, comfortably too short.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean. You're always coming out of a window, no matter how good the window was. You're always coming out of it with a need for one more. But I think every football club's like that. I don't think that's uniquely Liverpool.
My frustration with Gomez is I don't think you can trust him fitness-wise. As a player, no. But Ash, I know what you're saying. Is that I know he name-checked Gomez, partly because he has to, but his actions this season says he doesn't trust Gomez.
I understand that, and I understand
there are times
all
Gomez
of this
has been
stuff
fit
is posturing here,
and he doesn't pick him. So it's like the puff piece that was done with James Pearce, where he said Rio. The young midfielder, what's his name? Trenioni is a key member of the squad. He's played less than 20 minutes this season. He's not that fucking key.
Well, he's a key member of the squad at his age, though. Like, I don't know. I feel like we're looking at everything glass half empty here. I mean, we know where we are. We know that Joe Gomez isn't a legitimate.
Anyone's a key member that you barely play. You know, whether you agree if he's good enough or not. And listen, I think long term he possibly will be, but at the moment.
But
we're playing our only fourth fit centre mid, and they never trust him.
That's why I go back to what I said at the start. He's not going to throw anyone under the bus. He's not going to diminish anyone who's left in the squad because he doesn't know if he's going to need them. And I wouldn't expect if he threw any of them under a bus today by saying, "I don't want to use XYZ player because I don't think they're up for it." Forget about it.
I hate that. Though.
Yeah, I really
hear that from a manager.
No, he can think it all he likes. He'll never say it.
Good.
I think the only one he's
rightly so. Oh no, don't get me wrong.
The only one he's pretty much done that with is Elliot, where he's basically talked about Elliot like he's. I don't even know
if he ever explicitly said it, but
he's basically talked about Elliot like he's a sole player. It was almost like talk to Villa about Elliot. I'm not talking about him.
Yeah, because he's a Villa. He is a Villa player.
He is a Villa player, and listen. I don't think Elliot's coming back.
No.
I don't think Elliot is coming back. I think we should probably get back onto the game though, because I feel like we could sit and talk about these transfers and about all of this forever.
You don't want to be doing that.
No, I mean, trust me. I know that we're supposed to kind of reel it in away from the 2-hour shows, and so this is me trying to reel it in. You know, if we're gonna stick on kind of our squad frailties, we should probably talk about the squad that's going to face Arsenal tomorrow. So. One of the rumors that is floating around is let's talk about the one that's kind of less rumory and more concrete is that Ekitike may just not be in the squad tomorrow, full stop. So just to kind of give a background, what happened is last week, Florian Wirtz and Ekitike both went for MRI scans after complaining of muscle soreness. And they found delayed onset muscle soreness in both of them. But they only found that in Wirtz. So that's something that you can recover from. That's not an injury. That's just sort of you're getting sore after working out a lot. With Ekitike, they found some minor damage. And so he's been out this week because of what they found in that MRI. It's small, it's minor, it's precautionary, but it's kind of the precursor for like a hamstring pull. So he was out for the Fulham game. It looks like he might be out for the Arsenal game. Not surprising. It's one of those things that you probably don't want to risk him if there is any sort of possibility that he could pull a hamstring. He is kind of our only fit striker. Kev, the other rumor that's circulating is that Chiesa might not be in the traveling squad at all either. So we're down to 2 fit attackers. One's a senior player and one's Rio and Gamoa.
Yeah, I said to you guys earlier on today, I said how my lineup would look if it was up to me. And I had Chiesa starting on the left. And purely and simply because I think the way you play Arsenal is you sit in. You play 4-5-1 and you're solid and you look to break on the wing. So you want your a left-footed player on the left side, right-footed player on the right side, looking for balls to cut across the box. First time crosses. So your striker can time the runs off it. They know that when a winger gets into a certain position, that ball's coming, I'm making the run. It's up to him to find it. Whereas if you're playing the opposite foot on the opposite side, they're generally checking back and it's harder to make runs and you almost have to reset the play and then maintain possession. But anyway, if you believe in the rumours that are online, there's no reason to say that they're not true, that Chiesa isn't travelling. It could be one of two things. It could be the links to Juventus might have some meat on them.
Well, the Juventus owner said that he doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah,
you can't believe him, but I'm just saying that's out there.
I know. Napoli's the one he's getting mentioned as well, isn't it? So
whoever is, there could be a link to Chiesa going back to Italy. That's one possibility. The other possibility is he's picked something up, which he has been prone to picking up niggles here and there, and they decided to leave him home. If he isn't there, then the lineup picks itself. It'll be virtually identical to the lineup that we played against Fulham the other week. The last game, and the options to be able to affect change from the bench are severely limited. Plus the fact that now you're in a situation where you really have to manage Florian Wirtz's minutes. So if it's a case that Wirtz does a lot of legwork in this game, you'll get an hour at best. If it's a case that he's shuffling from side to side and we're defending for only have 35, 38% of the possession, you might be able to get more out of him. But at the same time, he's another one. You don't gamble with him. If he's not right, you don't play him if he's not right. You start Rio.
I think by all accounts he's fine. So he's being managed.
It's muscle fatigue. Yeah, exactly. He's muscle fatigue.
It's not. He doesn't have any sort of pulls or damage or anything.
But you're not going to get 90 out of him. Yeah, you're not going to get 90 out of him for certain. So every which way, tomorrow Rio will get minutes. The other flip option, which is a really radical one, is you do what Man United did with Burnley tonight. You play two fullbacks on either side. You play Frimpong and Bradley on the right. You play Robertson with Kirkes in front of him on the left. And you play three in the middle of the park with Gakpo up front. And you have midfielders who can come off the bench to be able to rotate, who are generally going to be more universal. But your options
that to me feels a little bit extreme. I mean, no, but let's be honest here. Like, let's talk.
You've got 13 players.
Like from back to front, we have Alisson in goal, right? We both agree with that. So then you have the argument: you could start with Bradley, or you can start with Frimpong. Who are you going to start with? I'll give you both the chance here.
Frimpong. If we're only starting with one, Frimpong.
Yeah, just let's go back to front like we would normally here, going through the thing. Okay, so I think we agree that Konate and Virgil start. So that's a no-brainer. Yeah. And then you have the choice of Robbo and Kirkes. Who are we starting?
Kirkes.
Yeah, Kirkes.
Okay, so we're going... Saka, I'm going to argue maybe Bradley gets the start here, just so that we do have a forward option to come off the bench on 60, and that's Frimpong. But that's me.
Yeah.
So in the midfield, I think, kind of picks itself. We've got Gravenberch, McAllister, and Szoboszlai. Anyone want to throw any arguments? Jones could.
I think he plays all. Well, I think he plays all four.
Well, keep in mind we have to pick some forwards too, so we're gonna have to pick midfielders for forwards in this situation. So you could arguably play Jones, Florian Wirtz, and Gakpo as your forward-minded players. Are we on the same page there?
I'm thinking you play a box midfield of them four, and then you two guys up front are Gakpo, or
Wirtz and Gakpo.
Wirtz and Gakpo, or if Wirtz isn't quite ready, and then to come off the bench, you've got Rio and Frimpong to take those.
So it's basically the exact same as Fulham. So we're not gonna do anything radical. We don't need to do two fullbacks on either side. We're just gonna do the same as Fulham.
No, that's essentially that's what his options are. Assuming Wirtz can play. And assuming that
let's assume
that he's not going to start Rio, then but your options are limited. You can literally.
I think Wirtz and Gakpo are told to play wide, and it'd be one of Szoboszlai or Jones who have to break the backs to get through the middle, which is what we did away at City 2 years ago. I think that's your option.
Yeah, you think that he's going to go kind of tactically back to that game away at City?
I don't know why he wouldn't, because it worked. It fills the middle, which where Arsenal are very strong, and it gives you enough to cover the wings. Because I don't really know what else we have. We don't. I mean, we could do 4-2-3-1 and all that jazz, but
I mean, I wish I could even explain what we did at Fulham in order for us to kind of tactically talk about it. Well, I have no idea really what that lineup was.
I think we did McAllister and Gravenberch as the two holders. We did Jones left, Szoboszlai right, and then we did Wirtz behind Gakpo. That's what we did. Sorry, so we did Wirtz and Gakpo kept swapping. It didn't. To be honest, it didn't really get. We kind of need to do it the other way around. It's actually better to have Jones and Szoboszlai more central, and Gakpo and Wirtz more wide, as wide forward coming in. I think that actually plays best. Jones got lost on the left. It didn't really work for him, and Szoboszlai got quite isolated. the reason I didn't fully like that formation, I felt it exposed the lack of mobility in McAllister at the moment. I think he was too easy to turn because they don't think he had enough legs around him because the other two guys were too wide.
Yeah.
And you get your width from the fullbacks, which is why maybe go down Kev's route of Frimpong and Kirkes instead of Bradley might work because at least gives you some pace in the attack. So,
yeah, I mean, if you guys in the chat can
missing.
kind of throw out some of the options, we've got Sam that talks about Allison, Bradley, Kanate, Virgil, Kirkes, Gravenberch, McAllister, Gakpo, Frimpong, Szoboszlai, and Jones with a double 10. So that's one option out there. We have a few people that are calling for Frimpong over Bradley, which I can understand. Brian says play Gomez at left back. We need height and defense, and he could deal with Saka coming in. So he's going for Bradley, Kanate, Virgil, Gomez, Frimpong, Grav, Jones, Szoboszlai, Kirkes, Gakpo. Gomez is fit. If you want to throw him in for this game, I don't know if that's going to happen.
To give him his first start back from injury, one-on-one with Saka, feels like you're asking for a hamstring.
Yeah. The only thing I'd say is, look, Andy Robertson has come up against Saka for years. He knows what he's about. He can play against Saka. And he generally does okay with it. The problem with Andy Robertson is when he gets too aggressive and he gets too close and he gets turned. Is it a case that you start Robertson on one side and you tell him to be more disciplined, sitting deeper on the left side, allowing Frimpong to be more aggressive on the right side, to get up and down the pitch a bit more, and ask Dominic Szoboszlai, who's going to defend from the right, to tuck into midfield to give you that extra option inside. Off the ball, you need to be in a flat 4-5-1 with Wirtz defending on the left, but attacking inwards on that side. Szoboszlai on the other side, attacking inwards from a right mid position. But your three centre mids have to be together defensively, and then on whoever's on the ball side is the one who goes. Whoever's on the ball side is the one who sits. Whoever's on the opposite side is the one who goes.
Whereas if you look at Arsenal, I mean, I think they're only missing the young kid Max Dowman, Calafiore, and the centre back whose name escapes me. The summer. Yes, who's very good.
It looks like Havertz is back training as well. He's probably going to be on the bench. Like I'm thinking they're going to go.
The way Arteta was talking, wouldn't surprise me if Havertz is held back for the FA Cup because it's a bit of a shorter turnaround. I think they play Sunday. I think so.
Who do they play against? Do you know? I don't know off the top of my head.
I can find out. I think it's.
You said it's on Sunday.
I'm sure they play Sunday. Yeah, let me quick check. So that's what I'm thinking. He might.
They play Portsmouth.
So they might. That's what I mean. They might hold Havertz back and give him.
Yeah, they're away.
They might give him his first minutes. Away at Portsmouth which is would be a sensible thing to do because he's been. I mean, it's a long time he's been out with that injury, so they probably do. Why risk him? Because I don't think they need to risk him. Because I think forward wise, they've got Trossard. They've got Trossard, who, let's be honest, as much as I hate it, Trossard has good games against Liverpool. He's got a good record of goals against us. So if I was Arsenal, it'd be Trossard and Saka are your two wingers.
You think he's going to start Trossard?
I would. If this was Arsenal, who the Arsenal fan channel, I'd be having Trossard and Saka start. I mean, they'll probably put Gyökeres through the middle, just because Trossard's record against Liverpool, he always seems to score against Liverpool. And then you use Martinelli's pace coming off the bench. Martinelli, I think, is in really good form for Arsenal off the bench.
Yeah.
And I think because he's so quick, his pace off the bench against tiring legs, he's doing against Trent quite a lot. I think they play into the hands, and they'll have a very motivated and lively Eze, because Eze has barely played since, was it the Villa game? Where he didn't mark Matty Cash properly, got whipped off, and hasn't barely played since.
Yeah. The only thing I
think is probably a bit of a message to him of what you have to do off the ball to play at Arsenal, which is the right thing. I mean, Madueke is the other option, because Madueke, actually, to be fair, is in good form. But for me, just because certain players like certain clubs, Fowler always liked Arsenal, I sort of think Trossard seems to quite like Liverpool.
Yeah, the only thing I think you can look at as a way to get at Arsenal is getting players in and around Martin Odegaard on the counter. Get him chasing the other way, because he will vacate space behind him. But again, They're playing 4 centre backs across the back. Now Zubimendi screening them. Declan Rice is your box player, and they'll look to try to go from out to in with the wingers and putting balls in the box for Gyökeres. And they've always got the option as well of going in behind with Gyökeres running the channels, because he will run the channels for days. So yeah, it's going to be a really tough away trip for sure. It's definitely not going to be an easy watch.
Yeah,
can I read you guys the embargo quotes that just came out?
Yeah, please.
Oh, go on. Let's be good.
All right, so these are from Lewis Steele. So he's talking about Arne Slot was asked on defending his style of play. This is what I was just laughing at. He says, I agree that steadying the ship was the first thing that needed to happen, but I didn't do that to try and play defensive football. That is the misconception. We always press the other team high as we can, up the pitch, all over the pitch. I did not change our style, but teams have changed their style against us. Our style is not to steady the ship, go back, and defend our own box for 90 minutes. Not at all.
Well, that is true. That is true. In the fact that we don't sit offsides and defend our box and invite pressure on. We don't. I mean, games might evolve like that, where you get 10, 15-minute spurts where sides will have the wood over you. In general, most of the games that we've played, we've dominated the ball. But when you're pressing, and there's the difference between Klopp and Arne Slot in the press, we press with one player less. And we always, under Arne Slot, we've pressed with 4 players. And the other 2 are supporting those 4. Under Jurgen Klopp, we pressed with 5. It was a man-for-man press, looking to get sides to play into areas that they didn't want to go into. The difference is this season compared to even most of the years under Jurgen Klopp, sides are prepared to go long now, direct. And there wasn't many sides who were prepared to go direct against us for years, because Virgil and Matip, Virgil and Konate were so dominant in the air, and the midfield were winning so many second balls because they were more defensively minded. They were alive to it all the time. This season, it's been highlighted that sides are going more direct, and you can press with as many as you like, because if the ball's in the air, you're pressing fresh air, and you're just out of position. So I kind of get where he's coming from in the fact that sides play us differently. You saw that with Fulham. You saw that with Leeds. How Leeds played against us is completely different to how Leeds played against Newcastle tonight. How Fulham played against Chelsea, even with when it was 11v11, it was a completely different outlook in the way they played. So, but sides are working on being defensively solid against us because it works. And it works to give us the ball, because at the minute we're toothless up front. And it kind of sickens me when you see that stat that went around earlier. I think you put it into our group, that Szoboszlai and Wirtz have created 50+ chances each this season.
Yeah, they're one of the top. They're both of the top 4 chance creators.
2 in the top 4 chance creators. I'm sat there looking at like, that doesn't compute, because you're creating chances, but you're not finishing your dinner. And ultimately, that's why we are where we are at the minute. We're not finishing the chances that we do create.
Yeah. Chris, I'm going to give you the other embargoed quote. This one saved especially for you. So Arne Slot conceded that Arsenal were better all over the pitch than Liverpool, but he puts a large part down to set pieces. He says, quote, one of the things that leads to such a big margin is something I've said 100 times. If one team has a +10 in set pieces and the other is on -10, then it's going to be quite hard to compete. I watched Coventry versus Birmingham on our way to Fulham, and I saw a stat that said Coventry had scored something like 21 goals from set pieces, and that the number 2 in the league had only scored 13. With all the things we can improve, that is an area that we have to improve the most.
No shit, Sherlock. You need to improve that.
You set the world alight with that quote.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, we between you and me, we never picked up that our set pieces are fucking awful.
Never.
Yeah. Honestly, jokes aside, like, it generally feels like everybody in the Premier League decided this year was the year for set pieces to be more of a big deal than they normally are.
I mean, it's a bit of just shitball all around.
And Liverpool kind of went, I'll be all right.
I feel like Liverpool bought for a different style. Like I feel like they bought for like a very technical Premier League, and I think they just for one reason or another they ended up in this kind of shipball physical Premier League.
I think Devil Rat made this point. If it's Neil Atkinson, he makes it much better than I do. Football is cyclical, and it always evolves. I think
it's not going to be like this forever.
2 years ago, we thought Pep Guardiola sold football by playing 4 centre backs. By playing centre back to full back,
left back that tucked in and
then get into invert. He says, "You look at City now; they play attacking. They play attacking mids at full back. So football constantly changes.
That didn't look good.
What are you gonna say? Guehi Sam for City?
I don't know. No. Kev's face just spoke 1,000 words.
Yeah, I'll come to it after.
Okay.
So set pieces we've needed to improve in them for a while, especially attacking set pieces. The big hole this year has been the defensive setup's been horrific. Whereas last year's our defensive setup was better. But my frustration is, and it still wrangles me, is that line he said, "We have not changed and I have not changed. So I'm not sure why we're conceding so many." If you've not changed, guess what? Everyone's got cameras, everyone's got videos, everyone's got match of the day, everyone's got everything to see how you set up. If you haven't changed in the last 12 months, it's a hell of a lot easier to fuck off, Kev. I've just seen the message.
Don't read that out loud.
God. There's that's proper throwing me there. Fucking hell. You're easy to plan against. Whereas, look, it's dead easy to take the piss out of Arsenal and do the Stoke jokes and all that sort of stuff, and I have great fun doing it. But give Devils the due. They've found something and they're really good at it. So guess what? They're playing to that advantage. Now, I think last year, and to an extent this year, they probably overplayed to that at a sacrifice of their open play. But still, I think actually if he improved his defensive ones, we'd probably be at least level. Because I think it's something like 10, 12 goals conceded from set pieces. It's ridiculous. That's more annoying than the attacking ones.
It is when about 10 of them are from second phases.
Yeah, they're all from second phases. Yeah. All of them. Every single one. There's actually no first phase goals, which is crazy.
So it kind of shows you we're set up right.
Which is worse, really, isn't it? It means we don't react.
Yeah. Well, it means that, we do the hard part and then we turn off mentally from the danger.
Yeah.
And we all know that this is a big way that Arsenal are going to kind of set up. I mean, the idea of, don't give away silly set pieces is probably, again, the most Captain Obvious statement that I can possibly make. Look, I feel like, part of this show is thinking about what we think the predictions are going to be, who the goal scorers are. I'm going to throw it out to the chat right now. If you can throw in your predictions for this game and just trying to be realistic. Let's not be doom and gloom, but let's try to be realistic here and say what we honestly feel like here. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, Kev, you can go first.
Yeah, 2-2.
Okay.
I'll go with Cody Gakpo and Dominic Szoboszlai. Purely and simply because, on my bingo card, within 2 minutes, they're going to turn around and say this is the highest scoring fixture in Premier League. Within 2 minutes.
Yeah, they love that one.
But I think that is the one thing at the Emirates, there is goals. There's generally goals in this game for both sides.
North London, our games against the even North London side are always high scoring.
Yeah, I think there'll be goals in this. I think we'll get chances.
I think Cody Gakpo's last couple of goals away were all in London, actually, which is just an interesting side fact. Okay, so Oshin says 3-1 Arsenal, Saka, Gabriel corner, and Gyökeres Dom gets a goal at some point. Okay. We've got Arsenal 3, LFC 2 from Noel.
I said nil. I said 3-0.
Madge says 2-3. I don't know who's who there, so let's go.
We're away, 3. So yeah, Liverpool.
Yeah. Let's see. We've got 3-0 Arsenal. Gabriel Rice, Kanate own goal. Oh, Steve.
Yeah, but Steve's miserable.
All right. We've got a few draws in here. Gabriel and a Gabriel OG. I would love that.
Not beyond the realms of possibility.
No, it's not. And you know what? That would be fine. 1-0 LFC, says Sam Vert's last-minute winner, marginally offside. Allison, man of the match, much like PSG away. Also, not out of the realms of possibility. 1-0 set-piece goal, Kanate. That would be very, very, like, good for redemption. I feel like, you know, like, we all talk about, like, the misery that might accompany this game, but let's just kind of live in a moment of, like, fantasy here. The idea of beating Arsenal with all of the things that are going against them,
It's
like,
so very Liverpool.
It's so Liverpool to just go away and like actually put a performance against.
I said to you the most
Arsenal.
Liverpool thing would beat Arsenal tomorrow, then lose to Barnsley on Monday.
Which, you know, again, it's
that would be the most
very real possibility. I don't know. I'm hoping that Will Wright is apparently he's going to be involved against Barnsley, and I feel like
I'd have him on the bench. Do you know if he's fit for Barnsley? I'd have him on the bench against Arsenal.
Well, I think
you may as well.
Maybe. I mean, he did just score 5 goals in his friendly. So, anyways, I'm just gonna kind of ride the optimism train here and just say that it's gonna be another sneaky 1-0 victory for Liverpool. And I don't. Okay, I would love it to be a set piece, just for like the poetic nature of scoring a set piece against the set piece team.
I'd love a clean sheet.
I would love I would as well. I mean, honestly, this is one of those games where I think we're all fine with a draw. I think Liverpool would be happy with a draw. Ultimately, it's up to Arsenal to decide if they want this to be a game or not. Because a point for them isn't necessarily a bad thing at this point in time with where they are in the table. But for them, I think it's up to them to take the game to us. And honestly, I think that's not a bad thing. I think that it's better when we play against teams that are actually taking the game to us, when we actually have space to do things. And yes, we don't have pace and we don't have a striker and, you know, shit is against us. But weirder things have happened. We didn't have any forwards like playing away to Barcelona either, and weirder things have happened. So just let me live in my bubble of complete, total fantasy for just a little bit.
I'll give you a bubble then. It's a bubble one for you. Arsenal 0, Liverpool 1, Gabriel sent off, Rio last minute winner.
Okay.
I'll take it.
Also kind of dreamland, but it's okay.
Where Slot puts him on by mistake, he puts the wrong person on. He doesn't even mean to put Rio on, he puts the wrong number up.
Oh,
and Rio scores.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like we've had so many nearly moments that I feel like we're almost due. We're due for something weird.
Red Steve's right.
That goes in our favor. It's been a while since we've had something weird go in our favor.
Red Steve's right. Put Titi Kamara on. He'll score the winner for you.
I don't think he's available, unfortunately, but you never know. I mean, our bench could have some faces that we are unfamiliar with. I really don't know. Anyone else out there? Szoboszlai free kick. That's a good idea, Brian.
Oh, that'd be nice.
That would be nice too.
That'd be our set piece goal as well, Ash.
A set piece. Well, that was what I was saying. I said, 1-0 set piece goal for us. I think that'd be fantastic.
Okay.
I think Ozcoppa is right. I think that defeat earlier in the season would have stung Arsenal because
but that could potentially be to their detriment.
It could be.
Because honestly, of all the teams that we face, we don't actually have that big of an issue against teams that come out and play.
Yeah.
So we look our best against a Villa, for example, that come out and play.
Yeah.
So again, I know that everything's stacked against us, and I know I sound a little bit delusional here, but that's my prerogative. Madge makes a really good point that she thinks Arteta will stay up all night devising plans A to Z. There's also a possibility that Arteta kind of galaxy brains this.
Very well. I was literally going to say, as soon as you started reading that comment, I'm like, yeah, there's every chance that Pep Guardiola's this.
I know.
And he's at the. I mean, in all reality, if they win this game, they become 17. They're 17 points clear of us if they win this game, which just even saying it. But honestly, like this could be their moment. This weekend, the results that went their way today, like this could be the march. And I'd love for us to use this sort of as a one-off game where we decide, you know what, like we are the current champions, whether we're playing like them or not, we are. And this is quite literally the game that you can defend your title. Like if this is the last little bit that we can do to kind of hold on to it and to make sure that Arsenal don't get it. And if we can look at it like that with a little bit of pride and show up with a little bit of fight and a little bit of spirit behind the team, like that's kind of all I'm looking for. I'm just looking for them to have a little bit of backbone.
I still love Oscopite's remark earlier, which was, can we just have a re-gip here with the John Cena music just to run on to score the winner and run back off?
I don't know. I mean, he's available. He's a free agent. I don't know what the rules are here.
Well, listen, there is a few links tonight, but they're known links. Apparently, according to the Mirror, Oliver Glasner is to intensify his talks of a new deal and stay at Crystal Palace within the next few weeks. Also, Palace defender Mark Guehi is a wanted man this month, with Liverpool could be lining up a 20 million move for him in this window. That's coming from the Mirror also. An Italian outlet is coming up with England defender Joe Gomez and Nottingham Forest defender Murillo are two options for AC Milan looking to bolster their backline.
Those are two very different levels of option.
I think Italy would do Joe Gomez really good.
Yeah, I do too.
I'd be fine with that.
I think Milan were looking. I think if the thing was, if Guehi happened, he was going to Milan. You know, so it wasn't a case that we were going to be having 5 centre backs. It was if Guehi got done, Gomez was going to Milan. So it looks like that triangle could still happen. So keep an eye on that one. And also, Man City and Liverpool forward Mario Balotelli is set for his 14th club of his career, with the 35-year-old being lined up to move to Al Ettifaq.
Jeez.
That'd be good. That'd be a good quiz question. Can you name all
35? 35.
Really? That's it.
35. Why always him?
I don't know. He makes Milner look really young.
I know.
God.
Speaking of which, you said that tonight.
Yeah, this was. I just want to give a little bit of shout out to James Milner. He had his 650th appearance today. Just turned 40.
That's
looks like he might break that record, which I hope he does. I really, really hope he does.
Yeah,
and the fact that he's been able to stay fit this season, credit to him. Absolute credit to him.
And you'd have to say, apart from probably last season, he's been
pretty fit.
He's been a key player in every team he's been in. And I don't want to disparage Ryan Giggs, but in his last probably 3 seasons at United, they were like token appearances, 2 or 3 here, and that was it. He wasn't like, put it this way, United in his last 3 years could have won stuff without him. He wasn't like a key squad player, if you know what I mean.
I think Milner came on for the last 20-ish or so against City, which again, going back to his old club. So it wasn't token minutes. He's not getting token minutes.
No.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
Sam throws in there, he could still play another 650 games. Honestly, I think he could go another season without an issue.
I think
it wouldn't surprise me at all.
I think Bryson would give him another year.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. But I feel like we should probably wrap on that kind of positive note, because there isn't a lot of positivity. So thinking about James Milner and like the absolute legend that he is, I think is a good way to kind of wrap up this show. Before we go, I'm going to kind of draw your attention over there to Patreon. So one of the things that we're going to do probably tomorrow, if all goes to plan, we're trying to get away from the 2-hour shows just for the sake of downloadability for people that listen to this on Spotify and things like that. So it's not that we don't love doing 2-hour shows. It's just that kind of doing it in a big chunk is very hard for some of our other listeners. So one thing that we've kind of come up with as sort of a silver lining to my very, very poor management skills is the idea of doing 2 shows. So if everything goes well tomorrow and it's not an absolute shit show that we don't want to talk about, if everything goes well, we're going to kind of try this new idea of doing a post-match show on YouTube. And then if we go past an hour, we're going to bring all of that over onto Patreon. And that way we can do kind of a little bit more of a deep dive. We can use maybe some more expletives. We can speak our mind a little bit more, but we're going to have sort of a secondary post-match show on our Patreon. So we're going to keep the long show because everyone seems to like it, but we're going to break it in half so that it makes a little bit more sense for our downloads. So that's an idea for tomorrow. If you're interested in that, Patreon's there. You can click there, try it out, and give us feedback on how that goes. So what it would be is right after the show on YouTube, there'll be a free show. We'll have like a 10-minute break in between, and then we'll go into our next show on Patreon and kind of do a little bit of a deep dive. Just edit out Grumpy Kev Ashley. Yeah, I mean,
thanks, Madge. I thought we were mates.
We
That's
love
fine.
Grumpy Kev.
That's
It's a
fine.
vibe.
That's all right.
But yeah, so that's our plan there. Another thing is we do have our Patreon, or not our Patreon, just our general sponsor, which is NordVPN. So if all goes to shit tomorrow and you don't want to watch Liverpool ever again, or you want to distract yourself from Liverpool, you can watch, any kind of shows abroad using a NordVPN and just change your location. Maybe you can watch some of the stuff that's in the US or wherever your fancy is and just drown your sorrows if things go bad tomorrow. So that's just a plan B so that we have it there, as our safety insurance plan. And Pete, we shall see. I might.
Can I just add one thing before we go?
Yes, of course.
Just speaking of legends, we'll pass on our good wishes to club legend Kevin Keegan.
This is true. I should have mentioned that.
For those who don't know, Kevin Keegan has been diagnosed with cancer, so he's currently getting treatment. So, fingers crossed. We
wish him a very fast recovery and all this to his family as well.
And obviously, Davey T's in the chat. He's loved in Newcastle as well. So, fingers crossed Kevin gets better. But yeah, that news broke earlier today as well. So, hope Kevin gets better soon.
Yes, definitely. Anything else before we go, Kev?
Well, Zora makes a point there. We've just signed a kid from Burnley. Yeah, we've signed a few young centre-backs that will probably affect the under-21s, which will more than likely mean some of the under-21s will be able to go out on their own for the second half of the season. And that's not a bad thing. That is not a bad thing for that kind of stuff within the squad to be managed as well, because there's definitely players in that under-21 setup that need to get out and play.
Yeah, so we have.
I'm going to
butcher these names, but I'm just going to read them out so that we have them before we go. We have Tala Ndiaye. He's 17. I think he's from Senegal. Then you have Ian Ifenwai Ndueke. We're going to just vibe with that. We're just going to. That's butchering it. I'm so sorry. He's the one that's from Austria, and then you had Noah Adekoya. He's 19. He's English. And he comes from the Burnley team. He's the one that we signed today. He had just signed his first official kind of contract with Burnley. So I think that's why he was unlisted on Transfer Market. But he is a Burnley player that we just signed today. So all of them are going directly into the U21 setup. And yes, as you said, it looks like Nalo is going to be sent out. There may be one or two others. But yeah, it looks like the signings are going to our youth team right now and possibly also to our ladies team. Chris, is there anything you wanted to talk about that before we go real quick?
Yeah, we signed two Swedish players, a winger, and we've signed a goalie on loan who plays for the Swedish national team. And we have been linked with a Danish striker. So it is like the Liverpool men of the 1990s. But to be fair, jokes aside, it's quite a well-trodden path in the WSL. Is generally in January. It tends to be the time you tend to get players from Scandinavia or players from USA because their seasons finish now, so they don't play over the winter. So their contracts tend to expire around this time. So yeah, good. Looking forward to it. I mean, we've got a game on Sunday, so fingers crossed we can try and get our first league win of the season. It will be nice.
Okay. Well, there's signings that are happening in Liverpool, just not necessarily for the senior team. Is the moral of the story? I don't know. I'm looking for silver linings here. Those are the names. You guys do your best to pronounce them. I'm sorry, I butchered them, but they're not run of the mill names either. So yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. Adioka, Nweke, and Ndai.
Okay. Well, you didn't read the first names. Those are hard too. Noah, I can do.
Noah's quite difficult.
Tala, and Ifeani.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Cool. We'll go
I'm
with
sticking
that.
with it. I'm sticking with it.
Kev, you're going to be our hard name reader from now on. You've just booked yourself in.
You're our youth correspondent now, Kev.
Yeah, youth correspondent. That's great.
Shite.
Grumpy Kev, the youth correspondent. All right, guys. I think we're going to end on that note. A little bit of giggles. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Thanks for throwing in your predictions. Thanks for throwing in the lineups and stuff. If you're listening to this after the fact, if you could throw those in our comments section, that would be great. We do check those. We're in there ourselves. So that just helps kind of keep the channel going. We are kind of continuing to grow. But I think that's it for tonight. Again, thank you. Thank you to Kev. Thank you to Chris. Thank you to everyone that's watching or listening. We'll be back tomorrow. Let's just hope for the best. I think anything is possible. Hopefully we'll be back after Reds win. So we'll see you tomorrow, guys. Thank you so much. Kev, you want to take us out of here?
Yeah.